Hey everyone, how is it going? I am here live today to talk to you about the Edmonton real estate market. And I'm just going to adjust this while we wait for people to show up. Um, as we wait, I'm going to throw in, it is April 9th today. Can you believe it? We're almost halfway technically. I mean, we have 4.5 weeks technically in April. So it's kind of crazy. So here we are, it's April 9th, and we are going to look at the real estate market. And I have lots of communities to share because a lot of you guys have let me know what communities you want to know about last week. And so I'm going to talk about that in today's video. Spoiler alert, some of them are Edgemont, Uplands, I think Ellis Greens was one of them, Glenora, Grosvenor. So I will go through quite a few communities today. Now, before we go into the communities, I'm going to talk about what is happening in Edmonton single family market in general. So the Edmonton market, the surrounding areas. And for those of you tuning in that are not from Edmonton, why do I talk about Spruce Grove and Stony Plain and Sherwood Park and St. Albert? Because they're pretty much part of our city. We don't drive very far to get there. Sometimes it's actually closer to drive to, for example, St. Albert than it would be for me to drive to Mill Woods. And that's in Edmonton, and I'm in Edmonton. So it depends on where you're looking to move and what kind of home, what schools, where your work is, all that kind of fun stuff. So we're going to take a look at the listings. So currently, we are looking at the active listings for single family homes, and it is going up. Now, word on the street from colleagues and myself is the sales don't seem to be happening as fast. However, this is price indicative. So if you take a look at anything under 500,000, literally flies off the market. 500 to 600, it doesn't fly. Still moves depending on if you're priced competitively in that range. Over 6 for sure is a lot quieter, but there's activity and there's showings. We're not seeing movement as quickly when it comes to that price point. So it's interesting. So the listings have come up. What does this mean? I talk about this every week. When listings go up, it means that this number of sales we've had in last week did not offset it to the point where it's coming down. This is normal and this is good. You don't want the listings to constantly be going down. And if those listings stay the same, it means that there's still a lot of activity with the new listings. Now, keep this in mind, it's April. More listings come on the market at this time of year than they do typically in January. And if the market's jumping like crazy, well, that's because there's a lot of listings coming on. However, there's a lot of demand still, and there has been a lot of demand in Edmonton since January. And let's take a look at the pending sales. The pending sales in Edmonton went up from last week. So there's more offers being written in the last week than the week before. Same as in St. Albert. Sherwood Park's pretty much the same. And Spruce Grove had a little less. And Beaumont had 3 times more offers being written in this last week compared to the week before. Now, I've been saying this and I've been talking to you about unconditional offers because I think it's important for you to understand. A few years ago in 2022, when the market was psychotic like this. Now, 2021 was psychotic for the whole year. 2022, we didn't think it'd go crazy again, and it did, but only for the first half of the year. That market was crazy, and I've noticed some different observations. There was a period of time in 2022 where if you wanted to win an offer, you had to write an unconditional offer. You had to, otherwise you wouldn't win. I've noticed this year, it doesn't seem to be happening as often. There's still the odd unconditional offers, and again, depends on how many offers there are on the table. But I've noticed even with 5 offers, we didn't have an unconditional offer on one of the listings we just put up on Friday. So we had lots of activity, but only 5 offers and no unconditional. So it's pending, not sold. And I think that's interesting to know when you're considering buying a house, because as a buyer, you still are able to do your due diligence and get a home inspection done. Now, this doesn't mean that you can go back and renegotiate and be unreasonable, because don't forget, there were 4 other offers on the table. There are other people inquiring about the house. So the seller is still safe in that sense that they're not going to be asked and demanded all these things. But at the same time, it allows buyers to get their inspection done so they know what they're buying and they're comfortable moving forward. So we're not impulsively feeling like we just overpaid and didn't look into the house, because I think that's not safe. You need to do your due diligence. Unless you're planning to knock the whole house down, you probably want to have a home inspection done just so you know what is happening in your home. Now let's take a look at the sold. In the last 7 days, we saw 241 sell versus the week before. So more sales are happening. And in St. Albert, a little less, Shore Park, a little bit more, and Spruce Grove the same, and Beaumont the same. So Spruce Grove next week might, or the week after, might look a little lower. But the sales in Edmonton have to do with conditions being removed from the week before, and then also in terms of if there were unconditional sales, which like I told you, I don't see them as much, but they are happening. And I'll tell you, anything under $400,000, like beware, you will very likely be writing a multiple unless you're buying a home that most people don't want. Most people don't want a non-move-in ready home. If that house is move-in ready, ready to go, you're going to be competing, because that is still, you can still buy a single family home for under $400,000 in Edmonton. You can't buy that in Calgary, and that is why there's been so much influx coming up here. Even under 500 you can't buy. So that's why you're seeing anything in that price range move. Where do condominiumized properties fall under? I would say 350 and under is condominiumized. So if you're looking for single family at 300, there's something not the average. So it could be in a less desirable area. It could be an older home. There's different things, but there are home possibilities still in that price range. And that's why people want to move here. Now, we are going to look, I see you talk about Summerside. So I will make sure I talk about Summerside. I'm going to cover the areas that we're talking about, but I want to look at last year's stats before we get into the community stats. So compared to last year at this time, we were still slow, but it was starting to pick up because it was spring. But you can see how much stronger we are this year. So the same last week, we had 40 more sales this year than we did last year. So the market in Edmonton is definitely stronger this year. We already knew that. And the interest rates are just a norm thing for people now. And if you are looking to wait for your interest rates to drop, I honestly think you are going to wait for a very, very long time. Has Spruce Grove price point increased? It probably has, and I'll take a look at that for you shortly here. So let's just take a look at, I'm going to share my screen with you, and we will take a look at this. So we do not need to see Google, we want to see this. So in here, we are looking at single family homes, and I'm going to cover Grosvenor first. So Grosvenor is located in central West Edmonton, kind of close to downtown. So let me just pull this up so you can see the Grosvenor location for those of you that do not live in Edmonton right now. Grosvenor, Edmonton. These homes in here are typically built in the 50s, 60s. And they're bungalows, raised bungalows, 1.5 stories are the typical homes in there. And you can see, I'm not sure what that picture is all about there, but if you take a look at the location of downtown, that's Grosvenor. Here's the Anthony Henday, and University is this area, and then you've got down here is the airport. So it is Central West, close to the ravine, River Valley. Grosvenor is more up and coming than Glenora. However, Grosvenor over the years has become really expensive. So let's take a look at Grosvenor. So I'm going to go back sold for the last 7 days. One property sold in Grosvenor last 7 days at $1.8 million. And I don't know if that's one house or two. It looks like this is a duplex product. This is not a single family. Well, it's a single family, but it's not for one residence. You can see all these different doors. If we go back 30 days, we got 5 houses that sold between $275,000 to 1.8. So this house looks condemned because it's all boarded up. Yeah, it's completely boarded up. So someone bought this for land value. Showing you the lot. See the next door neighbor, it's split into 2. So People will want to buy this. They split the lot in two. You have to go through the city for this, of course, and then apply for permits and whatnot, and then zoning, blah, blah, blah. And then they are able to put two properties on instead of one. And then if you look at the average price point, you're at $680. This one's $5. This is a duplex, newer duplex. So you can, instead of split the lot and put two skinnies, you can also do this where you have a duplex. So that's the inside of that, and that's sold in the high $5s. So if you're looking for a single family on its own, you're definitely looking over $600,000 in Grosvenor. If you're looking in Glenora, three properties sold in the last 30 days between $470,000 and $880. This is the 470 one. Glenora is an even older neighborhood. It's one of the more original neighborhoods in Edmonton, and sometimes they're in like over 100 years old. A lot of them are. This is quite the house. And in pictures, you cannot see if there are cracks on the ceiling or foundational issues. You won't know until you actually get into the house. This is an old kitchen, no hood fan here. And it's a small little kitchen. There's a small little dishwasher. Because in the 100 years ago, big kitchens were not a thing. You have to remember that, right? Big rooms weren't a thing. Big houses weren't a thing. But this would have been a large house back in the day. This is peeling. There's some water going on here. So that one sold for $470,000, and then this one sold for $800,000. Oh, so this isn't even done. This is a lot that someone bought. These are just different ideas. Oh, they must have bought this. This is very confusing. Okay. Let's take a look. I've got some questions here from people. Let's go to Summerside. I'm going to answer your guys' questions as we come. So let's take a look at Summerside right now. Please be patient with me. I cannot answer all of you at the same time. I'm only one person. Oopsies. When I work with my clients, we kind of go through all this information together. But once a week, you have access to me and we can go over sold. So this is what is happening in Summerside in the last 30 days. 404,000 to 1.1 is the sale price. So obviously from duplexes, right, to houses, 500, 576. These homes are probably built, they're 2010. So they're about 13, 14 years old. This was 2004. That sold for $630. If you want, I don't know if they have newer. This one had its fully finished basement. 3,000 square feet. It was $800,000. This one had a fully finished basement too at $670. But Summerside area is older. Now, certain areas in Summerside do not have access to the lake. So when we look at properties, I always double check for my clients because that area has grown so much that there's not enough places for them. Like if you're familiar with Summerside, it is in why is it bringing that up? It is in southeast Edmonton, and it's our only lake, you want to call it a lake community. In St. Albert, Jensen Lakes has something similar, and I'm looking forward to doing a video out there so we can kind of take a look, because last year it was still kind of being finished up and not much to video, but this is what's happening in southeast Edmonton. I know in Calgary they have a lot of these communities, and I'll just show you this. So you can see there is the airport. Going to downtown from Summerside during traffic is not the funnest. It is now past traffic hour, so this is going to show you just without traffic, 24 minutes. You want to probably add 15, 20 minutes to that. So that's Summerside area. Let me see. Sean's asking a question about Spruce Grove. And I wonder if interest rate goes down, property price goes up in general, or at least in historical. So how do I answer this question for you? If you take a look at the interest rates, and maybe I can have my mortgage broker come in on one of these lives, I can talk to her. We can take a look at the pattern of interest rates. Now, when I look at the pattern of house prices, I look at what has been happening in the last 90 days as the most accurate. When you're looking at a market that moves as quickly as we do now, we look at the last 60 days because things change almost very quickly. What seemed to be market value a month ago is now lower than what you're going to get now. That's the general consensus at the moment. But if you're talking about in generality, when the interest rates go down, that's not necessarily, I wouldn't say it's necessarily to be tied with the prices. It's just tied with the timing of the market. So, for example, our market currently, we have lots of demand. The demand does not come from lower interest rates. The demand is coming because there is demand for affordability in homes. So, all the people come here, they move here, and as people buy and as the demand increases, the price increases. So, the price is always tied to demand. If the demand drops, then the price starts to flatten out and might drop or just might even itself out. Will the demand drop if interest rates go down? Probably not. It probably will increase. So they will only increase, in theory, the demand, which then would increase the price of the home. So I hope that helps, Sean. If you wanted to talk about generalities, again, no one has a crystal ball, no one knows exactly what's going to happen, but what we can do is look at history and we can look at the patterns, and the patterns typically dictate typical supply and demand, right? When demand is high, price goes up. It's not even to do with houses, it's to do with everything. Facebook Marketplace, anything, right? So let me just take a look at Spruce Grove. So you wanted to know, let's go move the screen up higher. You want to know if Spruce Grove has gone up in price. Now, I don't know what neighborhood or area what you're talking about, because there's old homes and new homes. If you're talking about the new build homes, for sure they have gone up. I have seen all those prices go up. They constantly go up because builders keep thinking it should go higher and higher and higher, because that's what builders do. The cost to them is going up to build the homes, so they increase their prices. They also see the demand on the resale side, and those prices are increasing, and they are just always staying a little bit ahead of the game. Prior to COVID, they were actually below, which was crazy, and that's why we encouraged so many people to buy new, because the deal was better to be had there. There are still deals to be had now. It depends on if you are wanting something that doesn't require a bunch of fixing. So if you take a look at Spruce Grove prices sold from, let's go 12 months ago. Actually, let's do a date range. I don't want to look at 862 properties. So if we went last year at this time to, oops. So we look at 19 properties. This is average sold from last year. Average was 452,000, okay? Then if we look at this year, yes. So there was 19, this time there's 26 in the same range. Don't know if you noticed that. And we're looking at 442,000. But see, I'm taking a very general average. You're probably thinking, well, that's crazy, Melody. That looks like the price went down. You have to remember, again, we have to look at what's being sold. And I know for a fact there has been more lower price point homes selling in Spruce because of all the new builds. There's all these homes with no condo fees. They're going to bring the average down. So if you really truly want to know if the price has gone up or down, you have to look at your specific area, your specific house, so we can dig down, hey, what was your house worth last year? Then that's going to be more accurate. But for time purposes, we can't do that when I'm just doing something on YouTube. That's what we do for clients. Leduc is a small population of about 30,000. Do you like this area? Would you invest in this area? So I don't talk about Leduc, and there are like other areas in it, surrounding areas, and I don't specialize in it. So I don't really talk about it. If you are looking for Leduc, I'm happy to refer you to somebody who knows about it. I personally stay within the Edmonton area and the areas that I talk about here. If you don't expect the interest rates to drop, wouldn't that really slow down the market or end up having people underwater dumping their bad purchases? if you don't expect the interest rates to drop. So I believe we would have covered this on the last conversation that we had, um, that your prices are to do with the demand, not the rates. The rates can affect the demand, but they don't necessarily just dictate the demand. Buying in Spruce is a good investment. So, Sean, I've actually helped clients buy in Spruce Grove and the new builds, and I believe that they are good investments. These are in some new areas. So, the areas that I have been encouraging clients to buy in is that area. Let me show you on the map. It's right by Edmonton. Like, it's 10 minutes from West Edmonton. It's called Easton. There's a whole bunch of them. So, when you drive down Highway 16 or 16A, it's right there. So 16A is right here. The areas are here. So there is a train track here. But right here, but this area, it's not even mapped yet. There is Easton and a whole bunch of areas right in this area that are so close to Edmonton that I think it's a great investment. I've seen the new build prices increase even just from January, and it's only April right now. So let's go look at some areas that I've also wanted to look at with you guys, because I know that we talked about another area in town here. So let's take a look. Oh, Edgemont. That was another one some people wanted to know about. So let's just get rid of this. Go back 7 days. And I'm going to go into Edgemont. Sorry, for privacy purposes, I don't want addresses to be shown here. When you're working with a realtor, they can show you all of the details, including the address. So this is from 405 all the way to 775 in Edgemont. Edgemont is still got some new home options, but they're definitely finishing out and closing out. There are different pockets that are, if you look in the area, they like market them as different areas. So I believe Ellis is part of that little like thing. So on MLS, it would show up as Edgemont. Just like in Secord, they've got Secord Heights, West Secord, all these areas, but they're all going to show up under Secord, not these little things. These are just for marketing purposes when it comes to builders. So between 405 to 417, this is like the duplex product. Then you jump up to 470 for this, and the year built is 2018, 2015. With unfinished basement, this is finished basement. It's important to look at, you want to make sure you look at the comparables, because if the inside is not the same or the condition is not the same, you can't think that your house is worth the same price as what I'm showing you if your dog has gone to town with your house, right? These pictures obviously can't show everything, but when you see them in real life versus that, this is an interesting thing. Just so you know, for a staging thing, if you have a couch, you don't put the couch on the entire part of your carpet. I know I'm not a stager. I have a stage that works for me, but just a side note. That was really weird. So you've got a little bit of a step up. This is a typical layout. I've seen this before. Nice wide layout that most areas don't have anymore because our lots are a lot smaller these days. And this one was the one that sold for, I gotta check now after I go back up. So you got quartz countertops, undermount sinks, stainless steel appliances. Look at this. This is all cupboards, no drawers. However, I've seen some good hacks on Amazon that you can buy to make those into drawer functionalities. Stainless steel. You've got, a curved, that's fancy, curved staircase. You don't usually see that in a whole lot of homes. You can see from this picture here, the yard's not super big. That's what you normally get when it comes to, oh, sorry, I'm just noticing you guys are seeing all this junk underneath. There's not a whole lot of yard sometimes in these houses. They're not all like this, but it depends on the lot. This one obviously has a much smaller yard because you can see it in the pictures here. A little tiny deck here, and then it's right there. There really is no yard in this house. But it seems like a pretty wide, bigger house. I got a bonus room upstairs, which is nice. It's not a massive bonus room, but something good for kids. Your primary, walk-in closet, ensuite. Those are laminate countertops, so that's not quartz throughout, just the main. This picture also looks warped. When you look at pictures, be careful because there are lenses that, yes, they need to be used so that they can squeeze in the whole, like the whole bedroom in the one picture, but you can see tiny, kind of telling things that are stretching the photo. This house isn't as big as it may look. Basement's finished with a wet bar. I see the laundry down here as well too. So there are options in Edgemont for new homes, or sorry, resale homes. Let me just take a look at the active. You guys can all see active. Sometimes you see the pending too. There's 25 properties active. There are 3 pending. So not that much active. Now, when it was 3 years ago, keep in mind, things were a lot crazier. So for example, in Secord, when things were busy 2 years ago, there was literally less than 5 properties available for sale in Secord. Now let's see how many properties are available for Secord right now. 36, not 5. So Secord isn't moving as fast. These new neighborhoods aren't moving as quickly, in general speaking, but they are still moving quickly depending on what it is. We put up a listing at $550 and it sold within 2 weeks. Well, we got an offer in the first 3 days. We had multiple offers. So it still can move quickly. You just got to be really careful with your pricing strategy and what you're doing when it comes to that. So if you have any other questions, we've kind of gone through a lot of different neighborhoods. Just let me know in the comments and I will take a look at them. If you're going to be mean, I'm just going to ignore you. This is a place for information and I'm going to keep things positive because it's my channel. So we're going to just talk about stats, what that means for you. As a buyer, if you're looking to buy in this real estate market on April 9th, 2024, and you're buying under 500,000, there needs to be all these checks and balances that you want to make sure that you've done and got in place. One of them is a pre-approval. One of them is working with a realtor that knows how to work this market. This market is possible to buy home. We have lots of clients we've helped buy homes, both new and old. You just need to know how to make sure, and you need to know what you want. Sometimes you think you know what you want, but then you don't. For sellers, when you're looking at selling your home has nothing to do with how much you paid for the house. It doesn't have anything to do with your opinion on the market or where it should go. It has everything to do with what has been selling in the area. Nothing can control what you paid for when you bought that house 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 2 years ago. You bought that house back then. That doesn't impact the price of what your house is worth. Now, does it impact you? Of course it does. It impacts what you need to do and what you have to do for your decisions and what you're going to net. But if you want to look at what values it is, try not to think about using the city assessed value and honest door. Those two things are not accurate when it comes to values. I don't know who came up with the word honest door. It's not very honest. Maybe it's honest to them, but it's not honest in real life because that's not how you calculate properties. How do they even know if you've done upgrades to your house? Just like the city, they only know if they've got permits on it. And so they don't know how the market works either. They don't know if the market would have 5 offers on your house, if it would sell for more. Sometimes they overprice, sometimes they underprice. And so if you're looking for a market value, you want to ask a professional realtor who has been in the business, knows how to sell houses, isn't just kind of looking at the stats going, I think it's this. Because we see on the backside what kind of offers are coming in, if offers are coming below, if they're coming over list. I know a lot of people are asking me, oh, do you have to put 20 or 50 or 70 or 100K over to win a multiple offer? What do you think? What do you think? I have something to tell you. There are sometimes realtors who price the homes significantly under market because they want to make sure they get a frenzy. And you do get a frenzy in this market. You can price at market and get frenzy right now. That's kind of, I prefer that. I don't want to come super low. So if someone says to me, oh, on average, do you have to see $50,000? Oh, that one house sold over $50,000 over list. Well, was it priced $30,000 over list and it sold for $20K over list? Or was it truly market value and sold over $50K? So keep that in mind. There's a lot of numbers coming at you, and that's why it's so important to have a guide, a professional guide that does this for a living, to go through this information with you, because you can't just take all these numbers that you can Google and find online and somehow come up with your number, right? You've got to make sure that you talk to somebody that knows what they're doing. Nara, if you want to get a hold of me, you can email me, and my email should be in the description once this goes live. So best way to get a hold of me is to email me. I'm not always able to answer phone calls as I'm quite busy. And depending on clients, I might not be able to help you, but I have teams that I'm affiliated with that I trust and know that they're going to take care of my clients really well. So thank you for watching today. We are done at 30 minutes, and I'll see you guys next week.